The shuttle door opened with a hiss, and Jake Bartender Jones stepped onto the crystalline surface of Zorvax Prime, Earth's newest ally in the intergalactic community. His reflection shimmered in the polished ground beneath him, making him feel like he was walking on a mirror. Around him, towering Zorvaxians, sleek, glowing beings with bioluminescent skin and swirling galaxy-like patterns in their eyes, watched in silence. Jake, unbothered by their stares, slung his portable bar kit over one shoulder and adjusted his leather jacket. "Don't worry, folks. You're in good hands," he said, giving them his trademark smirk. The Zorvaxian Council leader approached, his bioluminescence a calm shade of blue. "Earthling Jones," the leader began, his voice like a deep hum. "We have allowed this cultural demonstration as part of our alliance. However, your concept of celebration seems frivolous and illogical." Jake chuckled, already anticipating their reactions once the party kicked off. "Frivolous? Buddy, this is going to blow your bioluminescent socks off. That's a human expression, by the way." The leader's glow dimmed slightly, a sign of confusion. "We do not wear socks." "Exactly my point." Jake winked, then clapped his hands. "All right, where's the best spot to set up shop?" The council had arranged for Jake to use the Grand Convergence Plaza, the busiest intersection in the Zorvaxian capital. The area was a marvel of alien architecture, with spires that pulsed with energy and a sky that shimmered like an oil painting. Jake looked around, his grin widening. Perfect. Time to turn this uptight planet into party central. He unpacked his gear, humming to himself as curious Zorvaxians gathered around. His pop-up bar was no ordinary setup, it was a sleek, high-tech masterpiece designed to function in zero-gravity and extreme alien environments. He strung neon lights across the plaza, set up holographic decorations that displayed Earth's famous landmarks, and positioned speakers to blast his carefully curated playlist, Earth's greatest party hits. A small group of Zorvaxians approached cautiously. One of them, a tall female with swirling nebula-like eyes, tilted her head. "Earthling, what is your purpose here?" she asked, her tone both curious and skeptical. Jake turned, immediately struck by her striking appearance. "The name's Jake. And my purpose? To show you how humanity celebrates the passage of time, specifically New Year's Eve. You've heard of it, right?" She blinked slowly, her bioluminescence shifting to a soft purple. "Your species marks the end of a time cycle by gathering and consuming liquids that impair cognitive function?" Jake laughed, setting a shaker down on the counter. "When you put it like that, it sounds bad. But it's not just about the drinks. It's about fun, connection, letting loose. Trust me, Telexa," he guessed her name from the council briefing. "By the end of tonight, you'll be dancing on this bar." Telexa's glow flickered, indicating what Jake hoped was intrigue. "Dancing on the bar?" "Stick around," Jake said, flipping a bottle in the air with practiced ease. "You'll see." As the sun, or whatever Zorvax had instead of a sun, set, the plaza filled with more Zorvaxians. They stood in small clusters, whispering among themselves, their glowing patterns flickering with uncertainty. Jake finished setting up his bar, then leaned against the counter, surveying the crowd. "All right," he muttered to himself. "They're curious. That's a start. Now let's show them what Earthlings are made of." With a deep breath, he hit play on his music system. The first notes of a classic Earth tune filled the air. Jake clapped his hands and called out, "Welcome, Zorvaxians, to your first ever New Year's party. Drinks are on me, and trust me, this is going to be a night to remember." The music thumped louder, and Jake grinned as he saw a few Zorvaxians lean in closer, their curiosity growing. "Time to turn this stiff crowd into the galaxy's wildest party animals," he said to himself, reaching for the first bottle. As the first beats of Earth music filled the plaza, the Zorvaxians looked visibly startled. Their glowing bioluminescence flickered erratically as they processed the unfamiliar rhythms. Jake smirked, twirling a bottle of alien-friendly liquor in his hand. "That's called a beat drop, my glowing friends. It's supposed to make you feel alive." Telexa, standing at the front of the crowd, tilted her head as if analyzing the sound. "This noise is disorienting. What is its purpose?" Jake poured a bright blue liquid into a shaker, added a splash of something fizzy, and began shaking it theatrically. "Purpose? Music doesn't need a purpose, it's about feeling. You let it move you, let it take over." He strained the drink into a glowing cup and slid it toward her. "Here. First one's on the house." Telexa regarded the cup with suspicion. "You mean this liquid is free?" Jake leaned on the bar. "Yup. It's called a sample. Go ahead, give it a try. I promise it won't kill you." He paused. "Probably." Telexa hesitated but finally picked up the cup. She took a cautious sip, and her bioluminescence shifted to a shimmering gold. Her eyes widened. This is peculiar. My body feels warmer." Jake grinned. "That, my friend, is the magic of a good cocktail." Nearby, a Zorvaxian male named Draxel had been watching the interaction. Encouraged by Telexa's reaction, he stepped up and gestured at the bottles on Jake's bar. "Earthling, prepare me a beverage that induces this warm sensation." Jake nodded, quickly mixing another concoction. "Coming right up. I call this one the Cosmic Highball. Guaranteed to make you feel like a star." He handed Draxel the drink, and the tall alien downed it in one gulp. Almost immediately, his glow brightened to a blinding white, and he started hiccuping. Is that normal?" Jake asked, squinting at the glowing alien. Draxel hiccuped again, and with each one, tiny sparks of light burst from his mouth. "This is strange, but pleasant," he declared before levitating a few inches off the ground. The crowd gasped, and Jake burst out laughing. "Now we're getting somewhere," Jake said, raising his own glass in a toast. "Let's hear it for Zorvaxian curiosity." Despite Draxel's floating antics, the other aliens remained hesitant. Jake realized he needed a stronger hook. "All right, folks," he said, clapping his hands to get their attention. "Let's make this interesting. How about a little demonstration? I'll show you how humans party back on Earth." He stepped out from behind the bar, grabbed a speaker, and cranked up the music. The bass thumped louder, and Jake began moving to the beat, executing what could only be described as an enthusiastic version of the moonwalk. The Zorvaxians stared, their bioluminescence flickering in a pattern that Jake hoped wasn't a sign of second-hand embarrassment. "This," he announced mid-spin, "is called dancing. It's how humans express themselves through music." He pointed at Draxel, who was still hiccuping sparks. "Draxel, you're up. Show us your moves." Draxel hesitated but eventually attempted to mimic Jake's movements. His long limbs flailed awkwardly, and his glowing patterns shifted wildly. The crowd, initially silent, began emitting low-frequency hums, the Zorvaxian equivalent of laughter. Jake clapped his hands. "There we go. Laughter is the first step to fun, people." As the music played on, Jake noticed Telexa watching intently, her glow shifting between colors. She leaned closer to the bar, tapping her fingers in time with the beat. Jake seized the moment. "Come on, Telexa. Join in. You'll never understand humanity unless you feel it." She raised an eyebrow. "Very well. But if I find this dancing illogical, I will stop." Jake extended a hand, and to his surprise, she took it. Her movements were stiff at first, but as Jake guided her to the rhythm, she began to loosen up. The crowd's hums grew louder, and more Zorvaxians stepped forward, emboldened by the sight of their researcher dancing with the Earthling. One brave alien stumbled into Jake's bar and tried to mix a drink, spilling half of it on the counter. Jake laughed. Now that's the spirit. Looks like we've got a natural bartender over here. By the end of the song, the crowd was buzzing, literally. Their bioluminescence created a kaleidoscope of colors, lighting up the plaza in a way Jake hadn't expected. He leaned back against the bar, wiping sweat from his brow. Not bad for round one. Let's see how wild we can get. Jake leaned against the bar, surveying the growing crowd of curious Zorvaxians. Their bioluminescent bodies shimmered in a dazzling array of colors, indicating curiosity, skepticism, and, in a few cases, outright confusion. The music thumped louder, filling the plaza with an earthly energy the Zorvaxians had never experienced. Jake knew it was time to up the ante. "All right, my glowing friends," Jake called out, shaking a martini shaker theatrically. "You've tried the drinks. You've seen the moves. Now it's time for the real fun, Earth Party games." The aliens murmured amongst themselves, their glowing patterns flickering. Telexa stepped forward, her shimmering skin now glowing a soft pink. "What are these games? Do they serve a purpose?" Jake grinned, pulling a colorful blindfold from his kit. "Purpose? Fun is the purpose. First up, a classic from Earth, pin the tail on the Grakner. Well, it's actually called pin the tail on the donkey, but I improvised." He unfurled a large poster of a creature that resembled a Zorvaxian pet, a Grakner, complete with stubby legs and a vacant expression. The Zorvaxians tilted their heads in unison, clearly baffled. "The rules are simple," Jake explained, holding up a fake tail with an adhesive tip. "You wear the blindfold, spin around, and try to stick the tail in the right spot. Whoever gets closest wins." Draxel, still glowing brightly from his earlier drink, raised a hand, or what Jake assumed was a hand. "I will attempt this challenge." Jake smirked. "Step right up, buddy." Draxel donned the blindfold, and Jake spun him around a few times. The towering alien staggered, his bioluminescence flickering wildly. He lunged forward, completely missing the poster and pinning the tail onto a fellow Zorvaxian's back instead. The crowd erupted into what Jake guessed was laughter, a strange harmonic hum that reverberated through the plaza. "Congratulations, Draxel," Jake said, clapping. "You just invented a new game, pin the tail on your friend." The laughter intensified, and more Zorvaxians lined up to try. Telexa, watching the chaos unfold, crossed her arms. "This seems highly illogical." Jake turned to her, an eyebrow raised. "Oh, come on, Telexa. Where's your sense of adventure? Tell you what, if you play, I'll mix you a drink so good, it'll knock your glowing socks off." Telexa sighed but stepped forward. "Very well. But if this is a waste of time, I will demand answers." Jake chuckled, blindfolding her and spinning her around. "That's the spirit." When Telexa stumbled forward, she pinned the tail, directly onto Jake's shoulder. The crowd roared with laughter, their bioluminescence flashing in a strobe-like frenzy. Jake took a mock bow. "Looks like I'm officially part of the game now." As the games continued, Jake decided to introduce a new element to the festivities. "All right, everyone," he said, holding up a glowing glass of what he called the Galaxy Shot. "This is an Earth tradition called a drinking challenge. The rules are simple: you take a drink, and whoever lasts the longest without, losing control, wins." The Zorvaxians murmured nervously, but Draxel stepped forward once again. "I accept your challenge, Earthling." Jake grinned, lining up shots for himself, Draxel, and a few other brave Zorvaxians. Telexa, standing off to the side, observed with a mix of fascination and apprehension. "This seems unwise," she muttered, but Jake caught the hint of a smile on her face. The first round went down smoothly. Jake slammed his glass onto the bar. One down. Feeling good, Draxel? Draxel hiccuped, producing another burst of tiny light explosions. This is invigorating. By the third round, one alien had turned neon pink and started giggling uncontrollably. Another began speaking in an unknown language that sounded like a mix of whale song and jazz. Jake, now feeling a pleasant buzz, turned to Draxel, who was swaying slightly. "Still with me, buddy?" Jake asked, pouring the next round. "I am victorious," Draxel declared, just before collapsing into a nearby fountain. The crowd's harmonic laughter grew louder, and Jake couldn't help but laugh along. As the plaza devolved into a chaotic mix of laughter, dancing, and alien antics, Telexa finally stepped up to the bar. "You've managed to turn my people into fools," she said, though her glow betrayed amusement. Jake shrugged, sliding her a drink. "Fools? Nah. Just happy. And I think you're next, Telexa." She hesitated, then took the drink. Her glow shifted to a warm gold as she sipped, and for the first time, Jake saw her smile. "Perhaps there is some merit to this, chaos." Jake raised his glass. "That's the spirit. Welcome to the party." The plaza had transformed into a dazzling, chaotic wonderland of sound, light, and laughter. Jake stood behind the bar, shaking another round of cocktails as Zorvaxians lined up for their next drink. What started as hesitant sips had evolved into full-blown experimentation. Some Zorvaxians were mixing their own drinks, using Jake's ingredients in combinations that even he wouldn't dare try. "Hey!" Jake shouted over the thumping bass of his music. "Who stole my lime juice and added it to whatever that glowing pink stuff is?" A Zorvaxian with a sheepish glow raised what looked like a tentacle. "I am testing the limits of your beverages, Earthling. It has explosive results." As if on cue, the alien's drink fizzed violently before shooting a harmless beam of light into the sky. The crowd erupted in harmonic laughter. Jake shook his head, grinning. "This is either the best or worst idea I've ever had." Nearby, a group of Zorvaxians was huddled together, trying to emulate Jake's dance moves. They flailed their limbs in ways that defied both gravity and rhythm, their bioluminescence pulsing in time with the music. Jake couldn't stop laughing as he watched one particularly tall alien attempt the moonwalk, only to trip over its own feet and tumble into the fountain where Draxel was still floating. "Alright, Zorvax," Jake called, climbing onto the bar. "Let me show you an Earth classic, the conga line." The aliens looked confused, their glowing patterns flickering. "Conga line?" Telexa asked, stepping forward with a suspicious look. Jake jumped down, grabbed her hand, and pulled her into the formation. "It's simple. You hold on to the person in front of you, move to the beat, and have a blast. Trust me, it's fun." Telexa looked skeptical but complied. Draxel, now recovered from his fountain mishap, eagerly joined in, his glow shifting to a vibrant orange. Soon, more aliens followed, their hesitance melting away as the line snaked around the plaza, weaving between tables and past Jake's pop-up bar. "Now this," Jake said, laughing as he led the line, "is what I call a party." Meanwhile, the drinks had taken full effect on some of the more daring Zorvaxians. One alien, glowing an intense green, was attempting karaoke with Jake's microphone, producing a sound that resembled a cross between a whale song and an electric guitar solo. Another alien had discovered the joy of table dancing, or rather, table hovering, as they floated a few inches above the surface while waving their arms dramatically. Jake's favorite moment came when one Zorvaxian grabbed a sparkler and began twirling it around, accidentally setting off a chain reaction of mini firework-like explosions. The crowd gasped as the sky lit up with streaks of color, then burst into cheers and laughter. Telexa turned to Jake, her glow now a shimmering gold. "I admit, Earthling, this is exhilarating. I never imagined our people could experience such chaos." Jake smirked, leaning on the bar. Told you. Humans know how to have a good time. Speaking of which, he handed her another drink. This one's on me. It's called the Nebula Sunrise. Perfect for someone who's finally starting to shine. Telexa took a sip, her eyes widening at the taste. It's incredible. Just like the night, Jake said, gesturing to the glowing crowd. As the night wore on, the Zorvaxians became more inventive. They discovered a way to sync their bioluminescence to the beat of the music, creating a living light show that pulsed in time with the bass. Jake was floored. You guys just turned my playlist into a full-on rave. Humanity's got nothing on this. One alien, clearly drunk, stumbled onto the bar and proclaimed, Jake Jones is the greatest ambassador in the galaxy, before promptly falling off into a pile of cushions. Telexa laughed, a genuine, melodic sound Jake hadn't heard from her before. Your influence is unique, Jake. Jake winked. Stick with me, Telexa. We're just getting started. By this point, the party was completely out of control, in the best way possible. Aliens were racing each other across the plaza, riding hovering trays like surfboards. A group had taken the remaining sparklers and created a light battle, sending harmless beams zipping through the air. Jake leaned back, taking it all in. The Zorvaxians had gone from stiff, logical beings to glowing, laughing party animals in just a few hours. He raised his glass, shouting over the music, to Zorvax and humanity. The galaxy's new party capital. The crowd cheered, raising their drinks high. The plaza was in full swing, with music blasting, drinks flowing, and Zorvaxians glowing brighter than ever. Jake, now the undisputed life of the party, leaned against the bar, sipping his drink and grinning at the chaos around him. He noticed Telexa chatting animatedly with a group of Zorvaxian researchers, her glow shimmering like liquid gold. Not bad, Jones, he muttered to himself, but his moment of self-congratulation was interrupted by a booming voice. Earthling. Jake turned to see Draxel, his glow now an intimidating shade of crimson. The towering alien stomped toward him, his movement slightly unsteady from all the drinks. You think you are the greatest among us because of your chaotic festivities? Jake raised an eyebrow, setting his glass down. I'm just here to share the love, buddy. What's your problem? Draxel pointed a glowing limb at him. You claim to be the champion of fun, but you have not proven yourself in true combat. On Zorvax, strength is the ultimate measure of worth. The crowd quieted slightly, their glowing patterns flickering as they watched the confrontation. Jake sighed, knowing he couldn't back down now. Alright, Draxel. What are you suggesting? Thumb wrestling? Rock paper scissors? Draxel's glow brightened. A duel. Boxing, as you Earthlings call it. Winner claims the ultimate prize. Jake crossed his arms. And what prize are we talking about here? Draxel gestured dramatically toward Telexa, who froze mid-sip, her glow shifting to a startled white. The favor of the most radiant among us, Telexa. The crowd gasped, their bioluminescence pulsing in excitement. Jake turned to Telexa, who looked utterly mortified. You okay with this? He asked, raising an eyebrow. She recovered quickly, her glow turning an annoyed shade of pink. This is highly inappropriate, but I will not interfere. If you insist on indulging this nonsense, do so at your own risk. Jake smirked. Alright, big guy. Let's do this. The crowd gathered in a circle, clearing space for the makeshift boxing ring. Jake wrapped his hands with strips of cloth he had in his bar kit, while Draxel prepared by flexing his long limbs and glowing menacingly. Jake couldn't help but chuckle. I gotta warn you, Draxel. Humans are scrappy. You sure you're ready for this? Draxel roared, his voice echoing across the plaza. I was born ready, Earthling. Telexa stood off to the side, shaking her head but unable to hide the hint of amusement in her glow. The fight began with Jake weaving and dodging as Draxel swung his glowing limbs with surprising speed. "You hit like a glow stick," Jake taunted, ducking under another swing and landing a quick jab to Draxel's midsection. The crowd erupted in cheers and harmonic laughter as Draxel stumbled back, his glow flickering. "You are stronger than you appear, Earthling." Jake grinned. "And you're slower than I thought, big guy." But Draxel wasn't done. He charged at Jake, his long limbs flailing wildly. Jake dodged again but tripped over an alien's discarded sparkler, landing flat on his back. Draxel loomed over him, raising his fist for a dramatic finish. Thinking fast, Jake grabbed the sparkler and waved it in Draxel's face. The alien hesitated, his glow flickering in confusion. Jake took the opportunity to roll out of the way and land a punch squarely on Draxel's jaw. The towering alien staggered, his glow dimming. With one final wobble, he fell backward into the fountain. The crowd roared in approval as Jake raised his fists in triumph. Draxel sat up in the fountain, his glow a sheepish yellow. "You have bested me, Earthling. You are the true champion of this night." Jake walked over and extended a hand. "No hard feelings, big guy. You put up a good fight." Draxel took his hand, and the crowd cheered as they shook on it. Telexa approached, her glow now a warm, amused gold. "I suppose congratulations are in order, Jake. Though I do not appreciate being treated as a prize." Jake shrugged, grinning. "Hey, I didn't make the rules. But for the record, I was more interested in winning the respect of your people." She raised an eyebrow, her glow flickering playfully. "Is that so?" Jake leaned on the bar, smirking. "Mostly." The plaza erupted in celebration as Draxel climbed out of the fountain, his glow now a friendly shade of green. Jake, still catching his breath from the boxing match, leaned against the bar and poured himself a well-earned drink. The Zorvaxians gathered around him, their bioluminescence pulsing in rhythmic waves that mirrored the thumping bass of Earth music. Jake raised his glass, addressing the crowd. "You see, folks? It's not about winning or losing, it's about the memories we make. And tonight, we're making history." The crowd cheered, their harmonic laughter echoing through the plaza. Telexa, who had been watching from the sidelines with an amused expression, stepped forward. Her golden glow had softened, giving her an almost ethereal appearance. "You are a strange creature, Jake," she said, crossing her arms. "But I must admit, you've managed to bring a rare energy to our people. Even Draxel seems content." Jake glanced at Draxel, who was attempting to balance a drink on his head while leading another conga line. "Yeah, he's a good sport. Turns out, even glow sticks can party." As the clock approached midnight, Jake decided it was time for the main event. He climbed onto the bar, holding a megaphone he'd packed just for this occasion. "All right, Zorvaxians, listen up. On Earth, we count down the final seconds of the year before we welcome the new one. It's a big deal, a time to reflect, make resolutions, and, most importantly, go absolutely wild." The aliens murmured, their glowing patterns flickering with curiosity. Telexa raised a hand, silencing the crowd. "What is the purpose of this countdown?" Jake grinned. "Purpose? It's symbolic. It's about closing one chapter and starting a new one. Plus, it's a great excuse to yell really loud and kiss someone at the end. Trust me, it's a blast." Telexa's glow shifted to a faint pink. "Kissing someone? That seems unnecessary." Jake smirked, leaning toward her. "It's tradition. But hey, I'm not forcing anyone." The crowd gathered closer as Jake activated a holographic countdown display in the center of the plaza. "All right, everyone. Get your drinks ready, grab a friend, and let's make this a night to remember." the final seconds began ticking down. The Zorvaxians stared at the display, their glowing patterns syncing with the numbers. Jake led the chant, his voice booming through the plaza. 10. 9. 8. The crowd hesitated at first, but soon, they joined in. Their harmonic voices created an otherworldly melody that sent chills down Jake's spine. 3. 2. 1. As the final second struck, the plaza erupted in an explosion of light and sound. Fireworks, both human-made and alien tech, filled the sky, painting it with vibrant colors. The Zorvaxians cheered, their bioluminescence flashing in dazzling patterns. Jake raised his glass and yelled, "Happy New Year, Zorvax." In the chaos, Telexa approached Jake, her glow now a shimmering gold. "This New Year tradition of yours is unexpectedly enjoyable." Jake grinned, offering her a drink. "Told you. Humanity knows how to celebrate." Telexa hesitated, then leaned closer, her glow softening. "For the record, I had no intention of being one in your ridiculous boxing match." Jake laughed, raising his glass. "Fair enough. But if it's any consolation, you're the highlight of this party. No contest." Telexa blinked, her glow flickering. "You are insufferable. And yet, you're still here," Jake quipped, raising an eyebrow. She rolled her eyes but smiled, sipping her drink. As the crowd danced and celebrated under the dazzling sky, Jake leaned against the bar, soaking it all in. The Zorvaxians had gone from stiff, logical beings to glowing party animals in just one night. Draxel stumbled over, his glow a cheerful orange. "Jake! This is the most extraordinary experience of my existence." Jake clapped him on the back. "Glad you're having fun, big guy. Just remember to hydrate. Alien hangovers aren't my specialty." The party raged on, the line between human and Zorvaxian blurring as they danced, laughed, and toasted to the new year. Jake raised his glass to the stars, thinking, not bad for humanity's first intergalactic new year. As the first dawn of the new year broke over Zorvax Prime, the plaza was a scene of glorious chaos. The party had lasted well into the night, with Zorvaxians still glowing in various hues, sprawled out in what Jake recognized as the universal language of post-party exhaustion. The bar was littered with empty glasses, sparklers, and remnants of alien drink experiments that had left scorch marks on the otherwise pristine plaza. Jake stretched, his muscles aching from a night of dancing, boxing, and keeping the drinks flowing. He looked around at the aftermath and grinned. "Now that's what I call a successful party." Draxel approached, wobbling slightly but glowing a bright green. "Earthling Jake, your new year has changed us. I no longer see parties as frivolous, but as essential." Jake chuckled. "That's the spirit, big guy. Just don't make it a daily thing, your glowing liver might not forgive you." Telexa, looking surprisingly composed for someone who'd been roped into multiple rounds of conga lines and impromptu dance-offs, walked over with her usual air of curiosity. Her golden glow flickered as she glanced at the debris. "Your concept of celebration is highly disruptive, yet undeniably effective in fostering camaraderie." Jake leaned against the bar, giving her a tired but triumphant smile. "That's the magic of humanity. We know how to bring people, or aliens, together. A little music, a little chaos, and suddenly we're all best friends." Telexa's glow brightened faintly. "Perhaps there is merit to this chaos." Jake raised an eyebrow, smirking. "Careful, Telexa. You're starting to sound like me." She rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her amused glow. "Unlikely." As Jake began packing up his bar, the Zorvaxian Council approached. The leader's usually stoic glow was now a warm blue, a sign of approval. "Earthling Jones, you have succeeded in introducing our people to this New Year celebration. It has brought a unique energy to Zorvax Prime. We wish to extend our gratitude." Jake waved it off. "No need to thank me. Just make sure you keep the tradition alive. Next year, you'll be throwing your own New Year parties without me." The leader hesitated, then spoke. "We have a proposal. We would like you to establish a permanent, what you call, party embassy, on Zorvax Prime, to continue sharing your traditions with us." Jake blinked, caught off guard. "You want me to stay?" Telexa's glow shifted, and she glanced away as if she wasn't listening. The leader nodded. "Your influence has brought a profound change to our people. You have shown us the value of joy, connection, and sparklers." Jake scratched the back of his head, smiling. "I'll think about it. But for now, I need to head back to Earth. Someone's got to spread the word about the galaxy's newest party capital." Before leaving, Jake gathered his things and made a final toast with the crowd, who cheered loudly despite their obvious hangovers. "To humanity and Zorvax. A partnership of logic, chaos, and the best damn parties in the universe." As the shuttle door closed behind him, Jake glanced out the window, watching the Zorvaxians wave and glow in unison. Telexa stood at the forefront, her golden light brighter than ever. She raised her glass in a quiet salute, a rare smile on her face. Jake leaned back in his seat, smirking. "Not bad, Jones. Not bad at all."